The Tale of the Fenlon Family. A house by the sea, where the Fenlons all meet, and a wonderful machine, one button, one seat. Away from a cousin, and round the reels spin, back to 1880, where our tale will begin. In Ireland, 1880, two brothers waved goodbye, each bound for far America, each under his own sky. By the Emerald Hope they parted. Meet you in CHEBOYGAN was the plan, then sailed on separate crossings to that big and distant land. But two towns sound so much alike, as close can be, that one reached CHEBOYGAN, Michigan, you see, while the other, off to Wisconsin, hit Sheboygan by mistake, a whole wrong state away. Now there's a wrong turn to take. And the years went rolling past them, with neither one a clue, each certain that his brother had been lost the ocean through. Each married, raised a family, each built a life alone, till at last they found each other, each with children of his own. Then the Michigan Fenlons planted roots they'd never quit by the Black River's water. And that branch, it leads to this. Deep in the woods where the Black River ran, in old Sheboygan, the family began. There was Pa, they called POOSE, with a voice like a storm, and Ma, she was Moose, and her arms kept them warm. 11 wee children, a glorious crew, 9 brothers, 2 sisters, a boisterous zoo. They had teams of their own, and they'd played till the fall, and beat every challenger, one and all. Now Pa had a temper, and Pa had a call. When that baseball rolled off, he would bellow it all. Will somebody give Pa that god-darn ball? They heard it so often, it's no big surprise that young Frankie repeated it, right to Pa's eyes. He reached for the spuds. Pass the god-darn... Whack! Too late. Then Pa rounded. And you? What do you want on your plate? And that boy, cool as ice, didn't blink, didn't pause. Well, I know I don't want any god-darn potatoes. And the whole table roared. And right there, my dears, was the Fenlons' great gift, passed down through the years. When the trouble flies thick, crack a joke, take heart. And young Lee, number 7, would soon play his part. He'd follow his heart to a faraway square, to a fierce, funny girl with dark Roman hair. When the world went to war, 7 brothers marched along. 7 Fenlon boys so brave, and their Ma, she stayed strong. No store sold a flag with enough stars to show, so she stitched 2 together, 7 in a row. A letter came from Washington, D.C. to thank her for her sons. But she just kept on praying every morning, one by one. One brother flew the bombers, where the cold flak filled the air. Our Pat, 35 times, with a grin and a prayer. It's so thick out there, he'd say, you could walk on the sky. Just 22 years old, and he flew, and he'd try. Then one by one they all came home, not a scratch, not a one. 7 boys, 7 stars, and her praying was done. And one of those brothers, our Lee, came back to his wife, to a fierce, funny girl who was the love of his life. For the war, it was over, but the best is to come, with Lee and his Charlotte, and the years still to run. Oh, the war! It was won, and the world felt brand new. And our Lee had a bride. Oh, what would he do? But how did they meet? Let me spin back the clock. By a tailor shop window, our Sheboygan lads stopped. For there stood Miss Charlotte, so quick and so bright, she could out-joke a joker and win every fight. Her papa was Leo, from old Italy's shore, who'd stitched the fine suits of this town's rich and poor. A tailor, a champion, a man of great pride, with a shop near the White House and Charlotte inside. Two pranksters, two equals, a ring and a yes. Soon the Fenlon clan grew, you can probably guess. So come, let's go see how that family would grow in a house full of trouble and love. Let's see all the places we'll go. Now the Fenlon clan grew to a riotous 6. 6 wild junior chiefs full of mischief and tricks. On West Beach Drive, they all gathered to eat, with rigatoni heaped high. Oh, what a treat. There was Aunt Anne at the sink, where she always would stand, and Lee at the head with a fork in his hand. The seats? There were never quite seats enough found. So the rule of the house? If I get there, sit down. Now Lee was a prankster, the best of his kind. The trouble that man could dream up in his mind. One night, a dark shape at the window appeared. A burglar, a robber, just as they'd all feared. Young Greg grabbed a knife. "I'll defend us," he cried, when the burglar burst in and then doubled over and died of laughter. For who was this rogue, this big sneak? Why, it was their own Pa, with a grin cheek to cheek. But Charlotte, oh, Charlotte could not be outdone. If Lee played a prank, well, then she'd have her fun. At a fancy church do with the brothers from school, those stern Christian brothers, so proper, so cool, she told them a joke, the Long Island duck. Then she turned, dropped her drawers. Oh, the nerve! Oh, the pluck! She gave them a punchline they'd never forget. For the gift, you remember, ran 2 ways, not one. A prankster who married a prankster. Well done. Now Lee ran a shop in old downtown DC, Rinaldi and Sons, where the suits came out clean. But the contract was a sight to be seen. At RFK Stadium, the jerseys, they all came out clean. He'd pile up his kids in the pickup so wide, garment bags swinging, the whole gang inside. Down alleys and shortcuts that only Lee knew, till they'd roll up to RFK right on cue. Now young Tom hauled the uniforms in for the run, when he passed Mr. Robinson mid-rage, mid-run. Old Frank was just fuming. Oh, he hopped and he spat. Filth and foul and frick and frack. Frack and filth and foul and frick, and a great big rotten stink-all smick. In the truck heading home, our Tom asked his Pa, "Dad, what did that mean?" And Lee said, "Ah, don't tell your mother." But the redskin's side was sweeter, a moment so dear. Sonny Jurgensen ruffled young Tom's hair right there, signed a football with a wink and a smile. Some things you earn, some things you inherit, all the while. One more thing was true, there's no doubt at all. Our Lee loved his sports, and he loved to yell, "Ball!" At each one of Tom's games, he would holler and roar, till the ump finally tossed him right out the door. But the kids loved their game, every loud, loving cheer. For the gift of the game, that's the DNA here. Now the junior chiefs grew, and they grew up so fast. And our Lee and our Charlotte, those wild years had passed. They were young to be grandparents, spry as can be, when the very first grandchild climbed up on each knee. And they picked their own names, not the usual two. It was Mimi and Pop Pop, the little ones knew. Now Charlotte made art. Did you know she could paint? She'd signed them Carlotta. A brush had no restraint. Bright canvases sold, every bold, vivid one. And she knitted with Christine, a girl, her bright son, who looked just like her mother, the same and as one. Through the long golden evenings, their needles would fly, making warm woolen things as the years rippled by. Soft afghans and scarves, piled in colourful stacks, handed down child to child, and they never looked back. Worn soft, wrapped round shoulders, tucked in for the night. For the Fenlons gave warmth you could wrap yourself in. A love made by hand, a love woven in. Well, the DC days ended. The family packed up and they aimed for the sunshine, without even knowing when they'd ever be back up. Down to Beverly Hills. No, not that one, my dear. A small Florida town, and they all settled here. Palm trees and sunshine and sprinklers to lay, and a brand new beginning, that warm Florida day. Now Charlotte, sweet Charlotte, could drive like the wind. When she got behind wheels, oh, you'd best buckle in. She took young Joe along on a hair-raising ride. 40 minutes of terror, Joe gripping the side. She blew through each corner. She'd zig and she'd zag, while poor Joe just held on to the seat and the bag. But they made it. They always did. That was Shah. Full speed all the way, our queen of the car. Now the oldest of all of the chiefs was named Mike, and there never was a soul who was more deeply liked. Love. Big beard, wild curls, and a free, easy art, with a soul made of gold and a give-it-all heart. Everyone loved Uncle Mike, yes they did. He gave Pooh, the sweet pup, to 2 Fenlon grandkids. Then Mike said, "I'm off. I'll go hitch to the coast. Drive me out to the edge, to the spot I like most. And the car? Take the car." To young Greg with a wink. A clunky old Comet, white roof, faded pink. So Greg, he just blinked. "So, you'll hitchhike? Out there? With your thumb out? No map and no plan? Anywhere?" And Mike laughed. "Well, who don't know dat?" Gave a wave, stuck his thumb to the sky like a guide. And Greg drove back home with a tear in his eye. Now, of all of the days in this Fenlon-y tale, there's one that shines brightest. So listen, don't fail. For the family had scattered to here and to there. But in 1980, they met for a family affair. Way up north in Sheboygan, yes, back where it starts, at a lodge by the lake, they all opened their hearts. From Florida, Maryland, from near and from far, every Fenlon came home by train, by car. That night at the lodge with the folding chairs out, the whole family gathered to laugh and to shout. No stage and no curtain, just the front of the room and the 6 grown-up chiefs who'd be bringing the boom. Now their town down in Florida, I let you in, was called Beverly Hills, so they all wore a grin. If it's Beverly Hills where we Fenlons all dwell, then we're Beverly Hillbillies, that rings a bell. They wrote their own song. Yes, our Joe penned each word, the poet of poets, the best to be heard. And Joe grabbed a jug and he blew a low toot, and the 6 chiefs lined up in their hillbilly suit. Oh, they sang and they twanged and they hammed it up grand. 6 siblings a swaying, the best little band. Then a cousin piped up, pointing right where they sat. Hey, those 6 are all Lees? Every one? Fancy that. And Mike, with a grin big as all of Sheboygan, hollered, well, who don't know dat? And the whole room erupted. They howled and they roared, every cousin and uncle and in-law aboard. But the best part of all, oh, the thing I love most, wasn't the singing, the jug, or the toast. It was 2 in the back, holding hands, laughing hard. Our Lee and our Charlotte, who'd loved and who'd sparred. Watching their children, all grown, all together, the mischief they'd planted, now blooming forever. 2 pranksters who'd raised up a whole world of fun, now watching it dance in the light, every one. And that, if you're asking, is the heart of it all, the love and the laughter that started it all. Now the youngest chief, Anita, all hustle, all heart, played basketball in college, and goodness was she smart. She'd dive for the loose balls, she'd steal and she'd swish. A guard with a motor, the coach's one wish. And Charlotte, courtside, with her banners in hand, she shouted her insights. Oh, weren't they grand? Their point guard, she hollered, is simply not getting enough penetration. The crowd, they were attributing causation. And Lee, at the refs again, louder than ever. Some things never change, and thank goodness, they'll never. And some evenings, oh, some evenings were best of them all. Anita would play her alto saxophone in the hall, and she'd play one sweet song that her mother held dear, a song called The Beautiful Way. And each time, every time, Charlotte would tear. Not from sadness, from knowing the road had been good. Her youngest daughter, her sweetest song. She had loved them all the best she could. Now the years rolled on gently in Florida sun, and the house it grew quieter, the wild days were done. But Anita stayed close, through it all, through the years, the daughter right there, through the laughter and tears. She drove them, she fed them, she stayed by their side. For some love isn't spoken, it simply resides. Now I'll not linger long, for it's hard, as you know. But the time finally came when our 2 had to go. In 2002, our Lee rounded 3rd and went home. And Charlotte, 4 summers on, followed him there, down the beautiful way, the road that they'd shared. They'd arrived, but gone, oh, not gone. They're laughing like before, at the lodge, in the light, alive forevermore. 2026, Garden City, the shore, the whole Fenlon family, together once more. For from Toon came this room, came this laughter, this song, came a family of families, 100 hearts strong. So laugh on and love on through whatever life sends. For the tale of the Fenlons never